in the centers. And now we're coming to the possibilities of funding. And Mrs. Gram and Mr. Tunker, they are both joined us today. Thanks a lot for this. They are coming from Compass. This is the strategic department of the project Träger Jülich. And they will hopefully enlighten us regarding the funding situation. And in the end, after their presentation, you have the opportunity to ask questions and to also make some suggestions what could be in this. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. We try to keep it short because it will be late. I will shortly present the project management unit for Träger Jülich as one of the project management agencies we have in the Helmholtz and who we are, what we do, and after that, my colleague Dirk Thunger will talk about the 650 millions mentioned before. Maybe it will be an important part of our presentation. Okay, so who are we? Project Management Unit was founded in 1974 to implement the German federal government's first energy research program. And in the last 40 years, we developed, and today we boast a wide range of topics and services. And we are one of the leading project management agencies in Germany with 1,100 colleagues and 4 offices, Jülich, Berlin, Rostock, and Bonn. So very close to all our important clients, mainly BMBF. And our slides are in German because we expect it to be from German.
So did everybody.
So did everybody. Yes, our main business areas today: energy, sustainable development, and innovation and knowledge transfer. So the quantum technologies program is not trusted, and CTR, quantum problem. We will talk about this later. What does that mean? And our services, as you see, managing research and innovation. Especially our clients are public authorities like German federal state government, the European Commission, but also, of course, recipients of funding. And on behalf of our clients, we implement research and innovation funding programs that have been tailored to meet their specific requirements. And the implementation of these programs includes a range of services from advising applicants and evaluating the projects which are submitted, and through approving and distributing the funds. This is the first and one of the key services we provide. And second is policy advice. It means we identify new topics for research and innovation policy by monitoring research and development as well as technologies and markets. And based on these monitoring activities, we develop national and European funding concepts in cooperation with our clients. That means in a very, very strong dialogue with the clients and also the recipients of funding. And in this way, our policy advice provides the impetus for solving key social challenges or market challenges. Third is creating future. You see here.
So we understand research and innovation managing as a circular process. That means we utilize a suitable toolkit to manage the evaluation process, which are important for furthering the development of funding concepts. So all the information, the results of our monitoring and evaluation activities we use afterwards for the development of new funding programs. So this is a circular process. You see, even if a program is not administered by PTJ, we even can use or can be useful because we do the evaluation, we do the monitoring, sometimes Begleitmaßnahmen, and so we can feed the authorities and also the recipients with these informations to develop new funding strategies, new funding concepts, new programs. Summarized, with our portfolio, we cover the entire chain of innovation, from basic research up to market entry. By coupling science with industry at the regional level, we seek to explore local innovation potential, and we aim to refine funding instruments in order to accelerate the innovation process. What you talked about, disruptive technologies need disruptive instruments. This is, and as you see here, we are as project management agency. We have a kind of interface position between authorities and research and development. Since 2012, we have a new situation because we have competition, a thing we didn't know for about 40 years. Because since 2012, all programs, funding programs, project management programs are submitted to public competition. And now we have a situation that we have 13, since this year, 13 project management agencies in Germany. And we have to adapt to a very new situation because after 40 years of nachgeordnete Behörde, now we have competitors, not only colleagues like DLR and KIT project management. And as you see, we have the public and the private market, which you can imagine is a sharp competition for us. And also the program, the quantum technologies program, is administered by VDI, Technologiezentrum. And but as I told you, we still have the possibility to work, especially with you, on influencing the decisions they make together with BMBF, to work on new strategies, new instruments, and so on. And now my colleague Dirk will tell you a little more about quantum technologies program.
Yes, thank you. I would like to give a short overview of the programs. Please skip the slide. And yes, I would like to start at the European Union flagship program, which is started and it focuses on 6 main points. Basic science with 7 programs or 7 projects that are located here. Quantum communications with 4 projects. Simulation, sensing, quantum computing with 2 projects, and scientific support action. In Germany, we have the situation that we have two pillars. We have the Fachprogramm Photonikforschung Deutschland, which runs since 2012, and we have the new program, Rahmenprogramm Quantentechnologie, that starts at the beginning of next year. So that's the program where we have the 650 million that are planned for the period up to 2021, and it is split up between institutional funding and additional funding. In the Fachprogramm Photonikforschung Deutschland, that is also located at the VDI Technologiezentrum, we have a program that is that aims to threaten little companies on KMUs to speed up into technology transfer and put science into applications. So we have a single and joint research project in it that focus on photonic introduction in sensoric, organic electronic communication, so on. And quantum technology was not part of this program from the beginning. It was added later on. The new program, Rahmenprogramm Quantentechnologien, von den Grundlagen zum Markt, we have the aim to create the so-called second quantum revolution, and have the opportunity that German institutions and companies should be part of this and should lead it. This program, we have the first two calls starting in the first quarter of next year in computing, including simulation and sensoric. All calls have only one point where you can make a contribution, and then the call is closed. We have this program focus on quantum computing, quantum communication, on sensoric, and on basic technologies, and it aims on reliable and to develop tough and reliable applications, but not in the difference to the photonic program is that it's more based in basic research than in applied research. We have some examples of already projects that and funding initiatives. We have examples from that address quantum technology in focus, and that came from the Fachprogramm Photonik Deutschland. Das ist, for example, the initiative Quantum Futur, Schlüsselkomponenten für Quantentechnologien, and KMU Innovativ. And we have as other examples projects focusing on quantum technology that are located in not so specific programs. the next slide. And it's, for example, in Forschung an Fachhochschulen or the health program, and also in a program from DLR of space science. So let me conclude. We have had an introduction to project management Jülich, and we showed the situation of funding for quantum technologies, and as Bettina said, also the quantum technology program is not located at the project management in Jülich, but at the VDI Technologiezentrum. It's also possible for us to bring ideas and possibilities for influencing and creating this program into practice. So many thanks, and I think it's discussion what kind of ideas you have for funding, and so to have a discussion about this, or also if you have questions, to ask questions. Thank you.
So I have a couple of questions. The first one is, which channels do you rely on for influencing the planning of this program?
Well, there are, for example, possibilities in Innovationsbegleitung, so or in evaluation, or in types of analysis of impact. So that are possible ways, but also, for example, in discussions with colleagues from other project managements, that are, for example, possible ways for influencing.
May I? At the moment, the program is fixed. It's published, it's fixed, and the first instrument will be, as they said, published in the first quarter of 2019. And at the moment, we don't have the possibility to influence the creation of the Förderrichtlinien. It is not our business. But
no, I know, because it's my business.
Yeah.
Next week about this, right?
No, but
so I was wondering.
No. We are interested in the issues of evaluation, of monitoring, of Begleitmaßnahmen,
Okay.
and
so that's not influencing. Okay, no.
So no, it's a matter of maybe 3-4 years.
Oh, yeah,
so
sure,
after
okay.
this first phase, we can try to be a part of the process.
Oh yeah, of course.
At the moment, it's closed chapter.
At the moment, you can do some nudging to get in the right direction.
But you can.
Well, I am the Helmholtz representative in that Ausschuss, so so we have a lot of Spielraum.
We have a lot of opportunities.
Okay, so no, but if you had more channels, I would be happy to use them. So that was my question. So the second question is the following. So the fact that you are here came out of a conversation we had with Robert Axman and Hans-Jörg Titus 3 days ago, in which Herr Titus said, well, since we have so many Projektträger, most of the public Projektträger in Germany are within Helmholtz. So could we think about offering the government some, like, how do you call it in English, Rundum-Sorglos-Paket, where we so more or less we take over the world somehow, and we do both research and distributing money. And of course, he was saying this would be on one end reasonable because, and you can correct me if I'm reporting not correctly, but he said it would be, of course, difficult on one end because legally, you know, that there needs to be the separation conflict of interest and so on, but you can argue for that. And on the other hand, of course, it would be good because we, Helmholtz, have both the research and the project management side. Now, I bounced this idea of Mr. Whistler and of Mr. Marquardt, and they said, yes, that could be thinkable, but we have to do it in an open way. So that's, of course, very important to do it in the service for everybody, that we are not just distributing money for ourselves. That's obvious. That was, of course, not the point. But, and yesterday, I discussed this also with Mr. Teisel and Mr. Schling. And they said, well, yes, so in principle one could think about this, but you would have to convince the Bundesrechnungshof that, so on so forth, you know, this but then they said, okay, which was trivial, okay? But then they said the interesting thing, and I want to bounce this off you, because this was new to me. So what they said is, in fact, within Helmholtz, you already have the possibilities, for instance, to fund startups, yeah? Without having to go to the project trader, and you have more freedom to do that. Actually, if you would like to do that through a project trader, then you would have to argue to gain that freedom, which you already have with existing instruments for innovation. And this connects, of course, also to this, open innovation hub type thing, which Crystal was discussing. And so I just wanted to bounce this off because, of course, I was very stimulated by this conversation. So as you see, I immediately took it up. But it seems to me that this is also an interesting suggestion. So I wanted to hear a little bit your reaction on this because I'm not familiar with those instruments, and maybe you also have some comments. So I wanted to throw this in the yeah.
One of the points are we are exceeding the 20-25% limit. We are going for the DHO full cover of we put money into the market and you take us here realize another thought about founding those companies up to 100%, and not just 20,000 euro or 50,000, but maybe more to say, for example, if you are building a new tent, put them on the market. I think it's easier by company that is able to stuff like that.
Okay, so that's very
have to be fast, and we have to be efficient with a lot of money, not with more.
So your point was going. The idea was, if I cannot correct me, using project traders would go in the direction of going beyond the limitations of speed in terms of volume of funding. Hopefully being able to be faster and with more money. That was the point. Okay, so what would be your reaction about that? Okay, that's a clear reaction.
I think it's correct. I think it's correct. But nevertheless, my personal opinion, I think it's an interesting idea to work together more closely. Anyway, or to discuss certain issues on an official level. So we have our PTJ road mapping process is still running. We have new OE-Leiterin since last week.
I know.
So maybe this could be an
Should
issue.
we involve her in this conversation? What I told her is she wouldn't care.
Maybe it's a little too early. Maybe next week.
Okay.
No. Yes, of course. I think it's a very interesting issue for Projektträger. Because also we are developing our portfolio. We have to, I told you about the market situation, about the competitors. Also, we have to look for new strategies. Because project management agencies like VDITZ have very different possibilities to act. The same problem: faster,
Yeah, they can go more strategically because they are private. Yeah.
Yes, they can do. They don't have the problem with Zuwendungsempfänger, Zuwendungsgeber und so weiter und so fort. So we have to find new solutions for our development.
I think the idea is not to have a third PT, something like that, but that use the competence of PT things, PTR, concerning the management project, but we need a legal framework that's able to react fast, and that's able to react in the financial significant framework. That's our basic.
So that's the point. It's not which instrument to use, but we need to be able to spend more money more quickly. That's your point. And the existing instruments for instance, startup funding which we have are not sufficient in this sense. This is your point. Just a summary.
Via another PT.
Ah, okay. Okay,
so we need the competences and but I think the legal framework must be something like that.
So it seems to me that this your message is a message really for the government, right? So which we can discuss as I get from you in terms of thinking together, but we are not going to solve it with existing PTs or with a new PT, yeah. But we really have to change things, so disruptive instruments, and so somehow, I mean, my conclusion from this would be that since you, DLR, raised this, and I think this is a very important point, I see people nodding in a way, so maybe we could ask you to draft some piece of this. Thank you. Very good. Any other comments? Yes.
Could I just comment from the view of FWJ? You asked whether we are trying to push technologies into the market to cooperate more with industry, startups, and I think this is actually our issue. We have high tech we are developing. We're usually on the very basic research level, but where we have the technology for entry, for market entry, there's a high volume of money needed to make actually a product. Or we have a small device with, let's say, 3, 4 parts you can sell per year. So the barrier, I think the barrier on this is what you said, the investing big money quick to make the market entry somehow. We've seen that the Grünberg patent really could not export. We needed industry. And this is for a lot of things like that.
So I sense some consensus on this, and actually I wonder whether maybe our PT could contribute, help in sort of, contributing to this section.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Of course, yeah. And another aspect is that such a legal construction to enable fast or something like a scientific theory, something whatever. There is a feature process, and it's not just spending the money to DLR or to do it or whatever. Something that is able to decide based on science very good.
Okay, so strengthening the advisory, the strategic advisory mechanism for being able to spend this more money more quickly, but in a sensible way. That's what you're saying. Please.
I think we also
Can you tell us who you are?
Vanessa Court also are, and I think that's the risk take. Like normally for really hard to put into money into companies where there is risk connected that they either not succeed or that they will not survive. So this Verwertungsplan, stuff and all kind of stuff. I really learned like what money or
Okay. So there is a series of limitations that we are having currently in the current possibilities. We need to overcome them. Okay. There is no existing solution for that. but we can propose something in the context of our document. That's what I'm taking home here. Did I see some other hands raising before? I think I saw maybe you.
I have another question.
Okay. But I saw also you.
Yeah, I think one, just to make that explicit, another point that's important is that full funding for certain projects could be company, especially one building very long time scale, high degree of certainty. I think that's how the US is ahead. Full project funding for project company. And we are very tightly bound, but on the other hand, it's a significant bar, I think.
I think this is what Mr. Axman was saying, right?
Similar.
Good. Oh, there is someone.
The question was what is the margin of the first call? What is the margin of the first call? How does it
Nobody knows. We
Nobody
don't know
knows.
whether, when, and what kind of first call it will be. And we are going to start discussing it next Thursday.
all this money will be spent on the city?
No. All this money is, let's say, at least half of it already planned. And my guess is between 1/3 and half fresh money. And yes, this 1/3 and half will be spent in next 3 years. So don't expect 650 coming in the next 3-4 years, but expect maybe anything between, say, 50 and 100 plus coming in call. No. It means that we have to start, serious work in that direction. We have to start serious work in cooperating with industry, and similar to what we are doing with the flagship. But no quantum computing in 3 years. Nobody.
Are there further needs for disruptive instruments regarding funding? Something which we may maybe not have mentioned up to now. What would you like to have if you had a free choice? Where and how would the money come to you?
One aspect that has been discussed quite a bit, and I think it's very important, is to have a very good strategic portfolio management on the funding side. On the Projektträger, in managing the programs, deciding what to strengthen, what to cut down, and there have been widely varying opinions, all range of how well equipped
So, are you talking Quarpa?
in a sense, I mean,
Okay.
programs that are managed.
And the answer is no, they are not. And they know it, but they are not pretending to be. But in the context of the Agriculture Innovation, we are also being, so our topic is also being considered, and they are hiring, but this is a big swamp. We don't know which shape it will take. Everybody is looking, so we don't know. So, and that's also a dangerous game to go there. So actually, what Mr. Ditos wanted was let's do Quarpa ourselves. Okay. So if it is not clear what I'm saying, so I'm saying that the Agriculture Innovation is being inspired. This Macron-Merkel initiative is being inspired by IARPA in the US. And so we're talking about a quantum version of it, which could be either something that we try to create and write it there, or it could be something that we hope that the Agriculture Innovation, by hiring some quantum competent person, might do, but this is unlikely. So that was the long explanation.
But would you like to have it written down, or is it just like
Yes, I would.
competence and
Maybe
more
we
competence?
need to have a strong advisory board or external scientists, maybe as project managers.
But this is also what he said for the industry thing, like a strong steering committee. And actually, maybe it would be in my view, so I like very much what you're saying, because it would be better suited to a European or German context than IATA, in which there is some omnipotent person who is like God and can cut your different body parts at their pleasure. So here it will be some sort of more consensus and evidence-based process.
Well, I think AOO is maybe the better reference to IATA.
Yes.
Is this more competence in funding management? What is the essence of what you said? Or would you leave? Okay.
But there is also another dimension which is more strategic flexibility in funding.
Also more strategic flexibility and funding from the individual elements can be cut or the project
Yes.
They do the rest, which is very difficult to find our also
Yes, no, there was a large psychodrama, for instance, because from the slide of Stefan Tautz, IBM was cut in this project, and there was a very large psychodrama about, oh, now you have to kill the whole project because if you don't have IBM, everything has to be cut down because the rules do not allow it, and then the commission say, no, we do it, and so on and so forth. So, and this is a typical example of inflexibility in instruments, which translates in ineffectivity in actually delivering.
Nobody wants to have any money coming as he or she wishes. Or is this what you think would be the most accurate way?
For itself would have called and request our vendor, but the way to get that, I think, is a competent funding management.
No, I am very strongly against getting funding the way we wish. I fought 1 year against the commission. They wanted to give me the 1 billion and distribute it, and I said no, we do a call. I had to fight with them to get that. I'm strongly against ad hoc. But of course, flexibility may mean not ad hoc. It means there is a strategy body which said, look, this is important. It's not like my friend, but it is very important, so do this ad hoc thing, but for a certain goal.
Yeah.
Just a question, because I'm a little bit lost in the discussion. Maybe I'm not the only one. So we are discussing now really how this HGF quantum technology project will be managed in future, or what are we discussing at the moment?
How we would like it to be.
Exactly.
To be as good as possible for you.
Okay, then I'm on the understand. But what is the relation to this and the Rahmenprogramm technology? Is there completely independent or
no, the relation is the following. That the HGF, we will structure our activities, and this will be relevant for 2 things. First, for the part of the 650, which is the institutional activity of the different bodies. This is the one part. Yeah. And the second part, why it is relevant, is that we will say, look, we are doing this and this and this, and this will, position us better in order to apply also for the additional funding. So what we are doing is relevant to both those parts.
And this for this funding, which will be the first quarter next year, there's nothing yet determined how this will be happening.
No, we are sitting here and we are, saying something that may be directly relevant to that.
And this will be also part of the paper. So
one section there.
Yeah.
It's the final down.
Yeah, okay. So, but this is money that partly goes to Helmholtz.
Yes.
But it would have gone to Helmholtz anyway.
Of course.
So we could as well say that we give only good people.
No, we are never going to say that.
No, but that's the truth.
Of course.
There comes the point where it's not logic anymore.
That's exactly the point.
I would find it interesting to think about how the Helmholtz part of these activities is substantial, and also that of other AUFs can be coordinated with the open call part. Tracks that some people hear on. And even crosses my mind that the quality of the output is even higher focus. We have less core funding and more core funding if the control is done right.
Yes, but we are not going there. So that is a suicide. Because you open that, okay, and then already the conflicts that we have among the different also the portions and Richtungen, then they will explode. There will be no way whatsoever to control all of it. So we are just not. We're not even deciding that, because the BNBF would be stupid doing that, and in fact they are not. So that's a nice idea, again, in the realm of logic.
That's and having some degree of coordination, I mean, say a joint roadmap or so, which affects the program.
Oh yes, that's what I did. Oh yes, that's what I did. When was it? In July. So I ran a series of meetings in which, there was DLR, there was Max Planck, Leibniz, Fraunhofer, and so on and so forth. And the most part of this was 3 months that I spent in order to get these people sit around the table, even virtually in a teleconference. And then, so this was really major effort. And then we got a document, which we call in quotes master plan, in which exactly this is happening. And what we are doing now is sort of a developed version and a detailed version of Helmholtz for that part. And of course, the BNBF became immediately very, very nervous, and they said, stop it, because if you develop this before we have even convened the steering committee, then you will have done everything, and the steering committee will not be able to steer anything, which was exactly my goal. So I said, okay, I waited the second week of November to do this. So we are there, we are ready to go on. Everybody else, not only in Forschungs- and Richtungen, but also in universities, are getting organized for this. And I'm waiting next week to go to the next step. And this process is part of this because it will be fed into there. And of course, this is very non-German, because in Germany you have a collection of distinct and separate pyramids. And this is why the NBF is very nervous about it, because they lose control if this happens. It's exactly my goal.
But in some ways, this is happening anyway.
Yes. And actually, we are here as part of that.
So I think we can thank you again for. Yeah.
The cooperation with other countries outside of Europe, then Japan, Russia.
Regarding funding.
Can we cooperation with other countries outside of Europe?
Well, from my, well, I was 2.5 years in project management also, and what I saw about these kind of very competitive things like quantum technologies or stuff like this, BMBF is and also BMVI is not so much in favor to have calls which are international. This is something else if you go to European.
Actually, sorry to contradict you, but in this field it is exactly the contrary. Sorry.
It's contrary.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Because so at the moment the Commission is completely panicking about China, okay? And more or less panicking about the US. So tomorrow afternoon I have a teleconference with the White House and the Director for Research of the Commission, because we start thinking about something. Okay? The Commission is panicking because like they still already have the make products. And last time I was in Beijing with Schutte, the Secretary Schutte. He told me, it was in the context of this 40 years of science and engineering, science and technology cooperation in Germany and China, and he said, oh, can you please advise me how we could do some good cooperation on quantum communication with China? I said, what? And he insisted, okay. And this is actually something which is happening in some other places. So Austria is doing that. So I had dinner last week with the minister, and they insisted very much we must do China because we know, and so on. So some countries are doing that. Actually, to my astonishment, the IMF is more open to this than the Commission is at the moment. They want to do it in bilateral ways, and they are looking for advice. So again, if we say it makes sense, Canada was another example that we have not organized before. So if we, in our paper, say, in terms of cooperation, not only cooperation with the other people across Germany, but we are doing this with this and that other country, I mean, this is going to be listened to, and it may be a foundation to say, okay, let's take it up and let's do some ad hoc thing. Maybe not a call, as you said, so I fully agree with you, maybe not an entirely open call, but maybe some bilateral agreement is something that we take place. absolutely. No, but even what Leo Shostinov mentioned before via email, that there was this Helmholtz Russian thing last year. So there was we met the science advisor of Putin, Mr. Kurchenko, and he had a meeting with Schutter, and it was about the XFEL, okay, which of course is that infrastructure, whatever. But one of the things that they are considering is also quantum. So there are many, and then of course, Russia is not exactly politically correct to speak about Russia in the moment in this continent. I am on the advisory board of the Russian Quantum Center still, okay, so I am trying to create cooperation there. But every country has their own mess, so to say. But certainly it is a question that can be opened up. And what I always claim is, science can be a factor of diplomacy and of positive cooperation. So if we have cooperations, we should, mention this. We should make it emerge in our document. If we think it is important, let's go for it.
So then, now, thank you. Well, this was maybe the last chapter of our roadmap, which you are going to create. But this leads us to the, to the other chapters. And you've seen the document sent by Jan Timper, I think yesterday, day before, and also the captions, which should be mentioned in the document, which are there. Yeah, they are in German. I'm so sorry again, but maybe this brings us to the point that maybe we will be forced to have it in German. So we will see whether Mr. Kalako can force them to accept an English form. But up to now, I think it might be German. You will tell us in the end. Well, up to now, the structure is like this, like it's written here. First of all, there would be an introduction into quantum technologies and the main actual initiatives. The second would be an overview of national and European actors. The third, the positioning of Helmholtz in the light of QT in Germany. The fourth would be then the real dress, which I painted before, where your science comes into, and then there are the corporations and also what separates you from others in the field, and then the disruptive funding instrument. My question, or Mr. Kalako's question, your question is now, is this the structure of your roadmap? If you are writing the roadmap, is there something missing, or should there be another order? Please, now, is there something missing? Do we need another chapter?
This is not very formal. It's not just for formal, because, for instance, number 6 was not there until we met the other day at the LR, and then they said, "Oh, we need that," and they said, "Oh, yes, of course." And so, in the same spirit, please.
I mean, we're doing this because we're interested in research of what quantum would finally solve our fixed problems. But I guess that was only. I mean, if this was all, I think then no government. I guess in the end they want to compete on technology in order to break the predominance of other continents in the information technology, right? Because this is basically our chance. Just as China tries to use electromobility as a chance to break car manufacturing, we would like to do this. Yeah. Now the question is, for
For that, you need academia, yes, you need research institutes, but you also need a kind of Samsung. I mean, who's going to do this? Who's going to play that role in Europe? I mean, we are sitting here in an airport. I mean, if I look outside, I see Airbus planes. It's, I think, the only successful instance of European industrial policy that there is this aircraft manufacturer now, which is basically on par with Boeing. I mean, are people thinking in these terms, and who would be actually on the industry side involved? I mean, we heard before that Volkswagen is doing maybe something, or Airbus was also mentioned. I mean, but they are basically users, aren't they? Or do they plan to go into actually, doing this on a large scale? I mean, for me, this is always the question, because in the end, if we do great science and development in government institutions, universities, but in the end, the stuff is going to be sold. I mean, the patents are going to be sold to some Taiwanese or Chinese company. I mean, why did we start in the first place?
So what I get is,
and then maybe something
like
this should be
you
on
need
that roadmap.
Something like an industry strategy.
Yes, because I think in the end, if it's going to pay off for the European taxpayer, there has to be also some large-scale corporations who make this their case. Yeah? I don't know, maybe it's wrong, but
no, this is very true. There is, of course, in this folder that I shared today, there is also, of course, the position paper of the German industry, but this is not answering your question. Your question is still a very much open one, and of course, it concerns us in terms of, I mean, which measures do we have, which measures do we recommend, what is our strategy to make sure that what you say, which is necessary, happens with the results within Helmholtz.
And finally, we have to be large scale.
No, it does not have to be large scale. No.
In the US, like Getty, these are startups. This is a startup, and they are growing. They may not survive, but maybe one of them will survive later. So,
well, it
can't we go the road that say we provide help, technology, and going then to startup visions or startup picture and help people to come out. Whether they survive is the question.
So what would be the caption? The caption of your chapter? How would you, under which caption would you like to elaborate this question?
I think the standard, boring, and trivial one is technology transfer. Mm-hmm. Maybe quantum technology transfer.
Well, I mean, it's more
innovation. And innovation.
I think it's more than technology transfer. I think it also is basically industrial policy. I mean, you have to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I observed a little bit in this field of organic electronics. We had many startup companies. Yeah. But they were all then sold to Samsung. Yeah? So now actually it's all gone. Millions of German and European money was actually invested. They had a worldwide unique technology, but in the end, this whole thing ended up as one part of Samsung.
So you want to buy innovation policy.
And now you actually, if you buy an OLED television, then you buy it from Samsung or LG. I can't remember the one. And I mean, is that going to be the fate of what we are doing here as well? Or shall we maybe learn from this and involve actually from the very beginning some large global players which could basically carry this through? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is of course a big question, and it's also not a question for me as a scientist, because I happily do my research, and in the end, all the PI, all the intellectual property, IP. Sorry, yeah, not PI, but IP.
Yeah, PI.
Yeah, that's right. It's sold to. For me, that's okay as a scientist, but as a citizen of Europe and as a father of two children who are young, this is not so irrelevant, right? And maybe this is too big a topic for this, but I think maybe.
Would you be happy with something like this?
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
But you are raising the question, so I would like to have you to be happy at first, and then the others. Would you be happy with this capture?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think, as I said, one successful example was actually, or is Airbus. Yeah, I mean, Airbus was really, like, at the time when I was so small child, my father was working in the aircraft industry in Germany, and it was highly fractured in Europe, and it was clear this would be going down because there was no hope. But somehow they managed to bring it together to form Airbus, and Airbus, of course, has lots of problems and very funny structure, but somehow they managed to survive, and now they build actually very good planes, right? And I think we need something like this eventually. Also in the electronics sector. Otherwise, we are just the research work for LG or Samsung or whatever, Huawei, or I don't know.
I would say these are very important topics, but I'm not sure how much we can really deliver other than saying that it's important. And perhaps the more realistic approach is to just flesh out our own activity strategy, keep contacts with our share. At least this should definitely be part of that, but I'm just not sure we have enough critical material.
No, of course, we don't have this, but I think...
So it is that section will contain, of course, we are not going to draft an innovation policy for the whole country or the whole continent, but we are going to draft and describe our contribution to innovation policy. And I concur with Stefan that this was not in the previous structure. So thank you. I would call it innovation policy more than just industry policy, but that's all it.
We are in the same situation with the supercomputer. There are attempts very early to build supercomputers design. It's never been to Airbus industry.
But now they are doing the JU, right? Because of that, because of the taking, just started at European level, exactly with the same. Yeah.
Is there another caption we are missing up to now?
The chapter on government coordination, interconnection. That's really on most.
No, that wouldn't fit under this.
No. So because it's like, how do we do our own governance?
How we do our own, and how do we make sure it's not our own governance in Helmholtz and everything?
How does it connect to the rest? Yeah.
To the lecture.
Okay.
The caption would be
Governance?
Concerted action or?
No, this is governance.
Some people don't like the word.
Why not? It's neutral.
Because some people scientists don't like the word.
That's bullshit.
I disagree with you,
I mean, what does it mean? I mean, you have the fact that you are applying for funding. I mean, you are governed.
Sure.
We need something like
Mission and measures. I thought that mission, but we can add that to number 3.
Mission, vision.
Yeah. This is really mission. So what's the positioning? It means what is our mission in the German context. And in terms of measures, it's partially in 4 and partially in 6.
Maybe taking up the idea would be to have at the end, so taking the missions up again at the last chapter with some real measure.
We could also throw away some of these and just have one calling.
Where would be the measures?
I thought in 4.
In 4.
But we could even rename things and call it one. I mean, we can just throw away some of these titles and say. So, would you be happy with renaming number 3 mission and number 4 measures? I think that sounds much better,
Well, you could
because this is boring and that is much more dynamical. Yeah. I propose those, yeah. Okay, so
Well,
that's my thought. So like what we do, right? What we do. Like what initiatives we take to realize. It is not just, I like it, it's more dynamical because it means not just some activity that you are doing or some topics that are more static, but really, a measure is an action that you take because you want to achieve something, and then this is how you structure things.
For example, we identify missing links. We identify the missing links. We put that down by simulation or setup. And we are here to create to make something together. Then we have to take some measure to build these links.
Okay.
So it belongs there, but indeed it is adding to what was there. There it was what are the topics, but now we're saying what are the interactions, which is what came out today, and how do we support that? So what do we do? Yes, that's much better. Thanks.
Does everyone have to explain what is the difference to the European program?
So, is your question whether we can answer that now or whether we should answer this in the document?
Could we mention some of the document? One could, for example, I do not know whether one could specify needed additional completely different approach, or is it part of it?
We're doing something in 2 years. Number 2?
Yeah, it would be inside. It should not be.
No, yes. So yes, maybe not a new chapter, but you're right. It is what you're saying is not yet there, because I mean here what we have is an introduction, what happens in the field, European initiatives and so on. But how do we relate to that? Yes, so that's because we have how we are positioned in Germany, but it doesn't say how we are positioned in towards Europe. So I would add it like here, right? To this mission chapter renamed according to Carl. So positioning of us within Germany and within Europe.
Are we competing against Europe?
Yes. Sure. No, that, of course, that's a very important question. Yeah, because in principle we could be competing against other people, against other countries and so on, and maybe we won't. Yeah.
Can you again, I know that you mentioned, I'm from Proton Center, from PGI6.
Do you have a name?
Lucas. So in the very beginning, you tried to explain that you can have this in addition to all the other funding on quantum computers and so on. And now there is all this ML4Q and excellence clusters and what Oliver has mentioned. Can you again come back to this and try to specify, make it a little bit more details? There is just a cluster on quantum computing that is funded, right?
Yes.
And that is, how does this differ? Maybe you explain that, but
do you want to explain it here, or do you want to be explained
but
in the
you
document?
cannot understand this thing, these chapters, if you don't, if you don't understand that, because it all depends. Either you try to make it different, or you try to make it the same. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can just take the document from the cluster and look at it, and there are also chapters there, right?
Yes.
So, or you have to make it completely different. So you have to answer that question.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
But I mean, there is Einführung Coupé und wesentliche aktuelle Initiativen. I think that's it, right? There you would mention all those clusters, and that's how I understand it. I don't know.
And also there, so what he's asking, in my opinion, is the same question that you were asking, yes. Which is, okay, this is what they do and we describe it. But at some point we take a position and we say, okay, this is how we align and this is what we do different. And that's very important. In fact, it was not in the, yeah. So, and again, it is how we are positioned, in a way it is implicit here because it is positioning with respect to quantum technologies in Germany And that, of course, involves not only the national program, but also the classes that exist. Okay, but we have to maybe to remind ourselves that it has to be there, like writing ML4Q or something.
But the answer how you do that, can you answer that now independent on this?
Oh yes, of course. Yes. So ML4Q is about a center about topological qubits. Okay, so this is, and then interfaces with light matter, and then this comes from the fact that this is these four institutions, and then there is quantum optics in Bonn, and then there is Majorana qubit and many-body theory in Cologne, and then there is a lot of material research and Majorana here, and then there is also in Aachen semiconductor stuff and so on. So you take these things and you package them together and tell a story and you say we do matter and light for quantum computing. And this is one, corner, one aspect, one fraction of the whole thing that we are having here, yeah, in terms of what we are doing within Helmholtz. And of course, the atoms, the photons within Helmholtz, there are some photons around, but there are essentially no atoms and no ions, okay, which instead are in ML4Q. So in a way, it is similar, the process, because you take what exists and you tell a story around it. And we now will tell a story based on what we have in-house within Helmholtz. That's the difference. Yeah? And the second difference is that there you have to sell it to the German Science Foundation, which is about funding fundamental research. And here instead we have to sell it. We have to prepare it strategically towards going towards innovation, industry, and stuff like that, and connecting the fundamental side to the industry, which played virtually no role in that context. So those are the differences. That is answer the question.
Yes, it does. I just have to think about it.
Okay. Okay.
I wrote one topic or one thing from your talks, which was the large-scale facilities. Should there be also an extra chapter with this? Because of the Helmholtz mission thing?
That's a very good point. Sure. So the question is, should it be subsumed under one of these other sections, or does it deserve a specific section? Maybe I'm tempted to say that this is a good suggestion to have a specific section on it. What do the colleagues think?
We develop large-scale infrastructures for science, not for themselves. So we would put them into the science case and relate to it in the science case. And actually building quantum computing is building a large-scale facility. Oh.
Yes, no, but I think, so my feeling is it is less exciting to say, oh, and by the way, we have some large-scale infrastructure. It sounds much cooler to say, look, we have those large-scale infrastructures and they are oriented towards goals. So, it has a charm.
Because it's one of the missions of Helmholtz.
I think so. That's actually
so then it should be clearly visible, I would.
It makes
it's the uniqueness of Helmholtz.
Yeah.
But maybe we can.
You have your fantastic ideas, so shoot them, that's cool.
It should be sort of make this uniqueness of Helmholtz into sort of a little chapter, saying why we for quantum technology have special, we have very particular uniqueness here and there and a large-scale facility.
Yes.
As a kind of small chapter in between.
Isn't this part of chapter 3? Because our mission our mission regarding the quantum computer, quantum technology, of course, specific because we are Helmholtz and because we have this other mission of large-scale facilities, right?
So now the question is, so will we have a bold-faced thing, a bold-faced line? Now, is it going to be 4 or 3.1? Okay, let's see it afterward, I would say. Okay, we will see how to package it. But I would say it should be a chapter. Now, is it a sub-chapter or not? But my sense is it would deserve some piece of text with a bold-faced title on it, right?
Like we have used center.
So what the MBF wants is the centers, that's for sure. They told me yesterday.
Do they often change their mind?
Of course they do. Come on. But tonight this is what they want.
Something that to some extent might be worth influencing.
Sorry?
To some extent, this is a question that's worth influencing.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what is our strategy. Like, do we want?
Yeah, this was my question.
Yeah. And I think that this is some of the things that we are going to discuss, probably tomorrow. So we are having these group discussions, not just to attach some post-it on some boards, but really to make it. So we attach the post, as you see, she posts the post-it, of course, with some very concrete aim.
So if these are your chapters, no.
The 2 and 5 might be worth using. Like first we are declaring what everyone else is doing, and then we are revisiting and what we are doing different and upgrading.
Makes sense. Good because we were having too many chapters.
Yeah, and this leads to my question: is then other numbers?
What
now?
Stefan want to say something?
Yeah, but I think actually shouldn't be 3 and what is called now 3. Shouldn't this be placed before 2? 2 should be.
Yes, do that. Very good.
And now, governance has no tag and also transfer and innovation. Sorry?
Governance, disruptive, further instrumental, and
yeah, they are down.
I would say governance, then the transfer policy, and then the further.
Yeah. So governance is 5, transfer is 6, and further instrument is 7. Right? That's what you mean.
Maybe in one chapter.
Sorry?
Maybe in one chapter.
Maybe in one chapter, yes.
Because there are sort of the measures, the kind of idea of measures.
Like this one? Together?
Yes. Makes sense. Yes. Stefan?
Because when we disrupt 5, 6, what we want to do, none of us disruptive further instrument. More what we would like to see, but we have to make this work, this could be a reason to make it happen. If the 6 focuses more on policies that they should do, then this would go to.
Okay, let's leave it with the question mark, seeing which shape it will take, because it will also depend on who is taking care of these chapters. So we will distribute, tasks. We will appoint victims, as we have already done. Shouldn't we change 2 and 1?
I would like to read first what these guys want. That would have been 5 pages. Can we have an abstract?
Okay.
Question concerning the amount.
It should not be too long.
And for everything beyond 1 page.
No, of course. No. Okay. No, of course. So there will be, let's say, maybe 12 pages thing, which Mr. Shi will read, and there will be 1 page thing that everyone actually will read. Yes, overall. So similar to this, is it 12, is it 15, like this Fraunhofer thing. So you look into your cell phone after taking a picture of my QR code, you find the Fraunhofer paper, that's our role model. Like it or not. Cool.
D'accord.
There's a very disliked chapter in the POC reports, which is called talent management.
Oh.
No one ever wants to write.
And we are not going to write it here. because we don't care. We decide our own structure. Or do you want talent management?
After taking care, but it's something that's already in the app minds, in the app mind. If they have some hard questions on what do you do to attract young people.
Because that's what they understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, if we can say something useful, I think it would be useful.
Ah, okay, so maybe you want it. Be careful, Henry. I see it coming in your direction.
Should we write it down?
Do we want it? What's the feeling here? It is true that if we said something meaningful, it would be great. If we said something to, for instance, how to counter in a meaningful way the shameful situation that we have concerning gender balance in this field, which is even more shameful than in other already shameful fields, that would be an added benefit. If you do something symbolical and you have nothing to say, then this is like shooting in some body.
Price, especially for instead of female heritage.
I find it a cool idea.
The talent, the neutral, gender neutral talent.
I'm not sure. Yes.
Constantly asking how are you attracting young people?
Yes.
What doing in you?
No, but you see, there is a relationship because we old people are almost exclusively male, but younger talented people, they are by nature more balanced. So the two things are correlated.
I think we should try to bring together two strong statements what we are doing. So that we show the importance of the subject, but not
Okay, so since this is your section, Henrik, which title would you like to have for it?
brain game.
Say it again?
Brain game.
Oh, yeah, okay, but I think if you're addressing that debate, and you just said about the female thing, I think.
Who are you?
What?
Who are you?
I'm Anna. I'll be in the future working for Tomato, with Tomato.
She's here on holiday. She starts working for me in 1 month. She's here on holiday, just to give you.
But you're more or less official now. So.
Yes.
But what I wanted to say is, if we going for the brain game, we should really keep it neutral, because if we go into, getting males and getting females, we surely this is one step away from the feminism debate, and I don't think we need that here. It's just, the biggest thing you could ever get.
I would probably include a small reference that we are aware and working on the gender aspect, but not the aspect.
Okay, so drain game, very good.
Brain game?
Brain game.
Yes.
I would say drain and no.
So which one?
No, brain game.
Which chapter would it be?
So then it will be.
There's a big H on it.
Maybe after the transfer.
There, in the end. Where Gedöns has to be. Okay.
Very good. Put it between the other two clouds, but there are.
May I ask a question? The word transfer here in 6, is that regarding technology and knowledge transfer? Maybe we can combine that with the large-scale upscaling for future profit. Because I suppose everybody's going to expect some kind of outlook. If you write a pure scientific paper, people are going to get bored and think, okay, what are they going to do? What is the outcome of it? And maybe something like regarding large scale could be added in that section, telling the people, okay, we start with basic research. This is who we are. We've already elaborated on that.
Now we go one step further and say what is to be expected in the future, because if we speak about a quantum internet and all that stuff, this is something people can relate to, even if the people in the DMS can relate to. So we should maybe kill me for it, I hope you don't. Maybe get some marketing thing inside to tell where we're actually going. I mean, we have a mission, we have everything, but what's the aim of this mission? And people want to know, okay, we invest billions of euros and dollars or whatever, so where are they going to end up? Is it going to produce a bunch of PhDs, or what is the outcome for everyone else who is not involved in that project?
But I thought this enters into this mission thing, right? Which now Carl said we should have it first. So he said we should have it first to have the most prominent funds. Exactly because of this.
Center, Helmholtz Center for Quantum Computing, in which we have built the quantum computer ourselves, in which we have Unix examples, user access, helping them German-wide get access to quantum computers and to program this quantum computer and all these things.
Okay, if that's enough, no problem here.
I think that is a bit too much.
No, he just did an example.
I don't want to say it.
That's this talent management thing. So actually, brain gain and education are two subheadings of talent management in a sense, right?
Could say education is also something.
Depends on the teacher.
But do we have something concrete and specific to say about that? Maybe yes.
Well, that's from years that we show quantum physics platform.
So are we going to put that in 8? Next to brain gain? Like education.
Education.
No, less. Yeah. They more or less belong together in some sense, so they could be two subsections. Is that something, so would it be something specific of Helmholtz? Do we want to make this part of our quantum strategy? That's a question. I'm not saying no.
I mean, usually, of course, we have this huge, which is basically about bringing people close to science, school kids. I mean, every second day our want is young people.
Buying pizza.
Pardon?
Wanting to have pizza.
Wanting to have pizza, that's right. No, this is a very good thing. And of course, one could at least ponder the possibility to put some specific aspects into this infrastructure. So,
I wouldn't make it a major element.
no, not a major element, but this is an agent.
I think this could be a section or subsection.
Yeah.
So also enriching the game.
So tomorrow, the paper goes online or into the hands of our minister. Would this be your outline? Speak now or yeah? Yeah.
Because I was looking at the paper from that and all the heading, and I think we should try to at least some point they say die Maßnahmen der Forschungslandschaft ausbauen, that we try to group our activities with under this heading, and they have a paper from us where that's very good, the easy way with the text.
So that would mean
we have to throw this away, or
No, we can group it in one of the steps. A bit in or so that we try to match what we're doing this way with the Maßnahmen. What is where? Or the some kind of graph where we put the tank box.
How are these Maßnahmen called?
Three after four.
Would you all agree? 3 after 4?
Yes, it's also
Yes,
good
makes
idea.
sense.
Say what we do and then go in detail what we do.
I hope this will stick in the end. So now we read first positioning of Helmholtz,
It's called mission.
which
now.
is called mission now, and relates also to EU and large-scale facilities. The second one would be introduction into quantum technologies and the main actors and initiatives. The third would be then scientific fields and with the focus of Helmholtz, and which is called measures now, yeah, and includes also a matching with the Maßnahmen from the governance. The fourth would be then national and European actors and corporations, and also into yeah, how to what do you call it? Separate from the other actors. And 5 would then be the governance. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it makes no sense one or two. I mean, you can't positionalize yourself and then you give an introduction to quantum technology. So I think, I mean, we have to change it, but I think somehow for me it sounds weird.
The introduction. I think the introduction we can skip it. Nobody needs an introduction of quantum technology.
So just the
they already had it because
just the initiative
to the paper of the government. We don't need to give it again. We start from there. It's our starting point. And so basically, actual initiative. So this is the second one. What are the current initiatives in that field? Yeah.
Google, Chinese program, from the US.
Quantum flagship excellence initiative and so on. Ein Bundesrahmenprogramm. Okay.
Ja, aber auch.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a photo now.
Doesn't make sense now.
Is that separate from the chapter 4?
I think 2 and 4 need to go together.
Two and four.
2 and 4.
Which means 2 in 4 or 4 in 2?
2 and 4.
Wait. Why is that?
Because this is the big frame.
Why the order or the drawing?
No, the order. Yeah, that's right. So I thought that.
I think totally before. To read, this is my vision. And I want to know what are the measures to get to reach vision. Yeah. Then I want to see so what are others? What are initiatives? Exactly how do we separate? Yeah. To me, that's a lot. Yeah.
This sounds very well.
That's fine.
You have to keep some brain gain into the how to phrase this caption, but well, this would then be 4, 5 is where then it would be 5. There's somebody.
Someone who's questioning governance?
No, it's not questioning governance, but should the governance be actually or should it be at the very end? Do we have?
I think the governance is more about how we implement the two. I would say closer to 2 than 5.
Huh? Okay.
Maybe a subsection of 2.
I mean, I was just arguing right
In between the measures, it's like I have a vision and a mission, and then.
And this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think in some sense the distinction from others is more important.
Okay.
You know, this is what we want to do. This is what the rest of the world, and by the way, this is how we do it, and make sure. And then comes the more distant technology transfer. It goes a little bit outside to just Helmholtz and Thermos. That's why I would put the government to provide.
Okay.
And the only thing is if 5 and 6 are separate, then I would put 7 in each. This is something we do, whereas the 7 and 6 is something that one being there.
Yeah,
but is it separate?
Is also something we partly, but also partly.
That's true. That's the question how that is done. So otherwise, the brain is going fun, but yeah,
Please be aware we are behind about 45 minutes. So we have a large package you still have to do now. But I'm fine with it. I don't have anything to do in the end. So.
You just said what we do and how we do it. So why not put the brain game in that section? Because brain game is part of the action, how we do it, isn't it?
No, but that's more general. That was. I would say that this is a detail that we can fix afterwards. You can stop 6 and 7 and just go for it, because now we are, discussing details, which so give me the sense we are towards convergence.
But then also does it now look as good or better as the Fraunhofer paper?
Sorry?
Does it now look as good or even better than the Fraunhofer? Because otherwise you're not yet seen.
I think it looks similarly good as the Fraunhofer.
Okay, then this is it. So you have to work with your very nice overview and very nice structure. Well, coming back to my beautiful picture. Nobody congratulated me about my picture. I'm still upset about my we made it like here, having the structure of the paper now. Now we're coming to your science. So now you can get your the main themes. We need to, or you need to phrase in your paper. In where is it?
there, section 2, chapter 2, and we need your input as well as we had it now on which are your main themes which have to be in this chapter 2. And Mr. Kalako, you had you said something about how the Flughöhe should be.
Yes, so my feeling is that the major thing that came out today is that next to the topics that we have already, let's say in the European initiative, there is clearly a strong focus on quantum materials here. And so I am tempted to think that over there, we should not just have, so one question is whether we have computing together with simulation or not. And my sense is that within Helmholtz, we don't have like a specific simulation activity which is so distinct from computing. So perhaps, we could have computing encompassing also what elsewhere is also called simulation, but maybe not. So that's something, my sense from today's discussion. My sense from today's discussion is also that communication and sensing are there, that there is zero metrology done within Helmholtz. We are not PTB.
Yeah, that's also important to mention.
That's very important because this is among chapter 3, whatever that there is communication, yeah, DLR, and this quantum materials is the other thing which is coming up very much. And one question that was asked by Klaus before, and many people experts and many people have come back to that is, okay, to which extent the research on quantum materials is relevant for quantum technologies, in the sense that quantum technologies are about manipulating individual quantum degrees of freedom. So you are developing materials because you are doing maybe Majorana qubits or other types of qubits. So it's not like spintronics. All of spintronics is not quantum technology, obviously, yeah, and not all of many body theory is quantum technology. But the parts which are entering there, which are they? How do we connect to that? But certainly there is a big blob which is quantum materials, in my opinion. And another thing that was underscored by many is the fundamental science. So what I'm tempted to say is that maybe simulation might disappear a little bit under here, I don't know, yeah. And that we also want a fundamental science aspect here. This is what I heard today.
One question is if we just say quantum materials is a relevant background from which we take elements to turn into quantum technology, or do we say the majority of quantum materials is basically a separate fifth pillar in quantum technology?
I would say that we are not making, so if we asked, is quantum materials a separate fifth pillar in quantum technologies, the answer would be no. Okay? But here, what we are not doing, we are not proposing our view about what quantum technologies are and how they should be structured. We are describing how is our strategy connected to that.
Fifth pillar of our strategy that is described comprehensively here, similar to how Stefan portrayed for Jülich? Or do we say this is just an important thing, we don't mention most of it, and here's the core quantum technology part of it?
So, yeah.
We're talking about quantum materials, right?
Quantum materials,
yes. I mean, I don't know. I have the feeling, if I just look at journals now, that somehow somebody in China must have decided that quantum materials is really the thing they want to be. So, apparently, I mean, sometimes it's useful to discuss matters like these now to also consider how your competitors gauge things. And my strong impression, actually, by looking at the authorships of papers, is that there in the Far East, actually, actually quantum materials is considered an integral part of quantum mechanics. They put so much effort into this. It's amazing and breathtaking. And you get these papers, like, with lots of, they are very easy to spot, of course, because of the name of the authors. They stick out immediately. And there are so many of them now, and of so high quality by now, that maybe that is something which should also be taken into account in fact. And maybe that's actually, my impression is that their view is, and that's what I'm saying, is that quantum materials is an important part of that.
My impression, can I be brutal? My impression is that we should not care at all, because also in Israel they include quantum materials. I think we should not care at all whether the Chinese or the Israeli or whoever thinks that quantum materials should be a pillar or not. We should also not care too much about what the quantum flagship is doing, even though I'm running it. What we should care about is, are the people who are here and outside of this room going to find themselves, identify themselves, and see what I'm doing, which is relevant for quantum technologies, is up here. My sense is, regardless of what the Chinese think, if we drop the quantum materials part, many people whom I heard today will wonder, oh, where is my place here? I don't want that to happen, okay? And so I don't care about the Chinese, I care about Helmholtz. And for me, the consequence of that is quantum materials should be there. That's my opinion here.
Go a little bit further. That's of course the backbone of the question, but we're not including fusion researchers or because they're Helmholtz. So in some sense, the question is important question is how useful is it for everyone in the room and Helmholtz of the hall to put together, or would they just suppose them?
Well, this we'll have in the next step.
No. But he's asking a question at the high level, so. Yes.
House. I would still ask you to think from the other side. What is it that you really want? What is the message that you finally want to send out? I think that quantum materials is something that is underneath all of these activities. And then you build something on top of that, which you call a technology. Eventually, the next step is making out of technology something like quantum computing, although I'm really skeptical of part of that, but that's my own personal perspective. What is it that you really want to project out? If you have too many topics in it, then you're diluting them.
So what I want to tell is a story which says, we have a big goal, here is what we do, and that's why we perform this research. Okay?
What do we do?
Sorry?
And what do we do? This is the goal that we want to achieve, and what is it that we actually need on the step to come to this?
Yes. And so if we ask this question could have as an answer, yes, we need to develop more quantum materials, but it could also be an equally legitimate answer could be, oh, but quantum materials are everywhere, or maybe not in communication so much, okay, but in many others, and so this is an enabling aspect as much as quantum engineering. And so in this sense, for me, this is more a question of how we want to present things, which is ultimately how we feel comfortable. How much can we stand, all of us, behind this? Yeah? And so it's a matter of visibility, like, is my field visible there? And then for me, it is not so important whether this thing, of course, this is not an application. It's an enabler, okay? And we can even say there are some enablers, some enabling aspects, which are maybe quantum materials and also some quantum engineering research, and then there are the applications which come out. But what are the blobs which should be there? That's the question for me. Yes.
I just looked up on the web page of the CF. They have some bullet points, but they consider this quantum technology as well, right? Yes. So there's something like quantum communication. Yes. Maybe we should also to please them a little bit, go and make this a list where they can make the check mark, go in this direction. Just here.
Yes.
So, and there would be, say it hard, but there would be quantum materials not on that list. So, sensoric and computing simulation and communication.
So that's what I gave them. Okay? Okay. And why did I do that? Because those are the application areas, okay, which we have in the European initiative, which made them start. Okay? And they have, as Klaus, I guess, was hinting at, these are application areas, not fundamental science. These are application areas. So they have a different logical status because this is something that you do, some function that you perform using your whatever, your knowledge, your materials, your engineering, your whatever. Okay? So they have a different logical status. And of course, since we have these things, this will have some correspondence to what they do. But at the same time, we want in our roadmap to describe why we do the things that we do in the direction of this broad vision. And again, also fundamental science, we can say it. So this is the eternal discussion at flagship level. I had it also 1 week ago in Vienna. Fundamental science is not an application, but it is very necessary. And the Commission always tries to say, oh no, but fundamental science is hidden in here because of course you need fundamental science for doing all of these things. And half of the community says, no, if you hide fundamental science, it will disappear. I need to see fundamental science, I need a call for fundamental science. Yeah? This is also, it then reflects into, to a certain extent, how money is distributed. Okay? So, if there are a lot of people here which are doing research on quantum materials, and we want, so what I want here is to achieve critical mass and to say there is so many people within Helmholtz which are going in this direction. And so if these people are happy, and this is more for you quantum materialists to say, yeah? So if these people are happy and say, no, this is really not really an application, let's write it as a subheading somewhere else, fine. If you people are saying, wait a minute, I'm a quantum materialist, I want this to materialize, then I say this, okay? And this is what I call bottom-up. And then, of course, I tell a story to someone, okay? But, the point, as I said this morning, is they have to be happy, but we also have to be happy, okay? And that's essential. And even if I'm not a quantum materialist, I want all materialists to be happy. Okay, because there are many in this room. Please.
Maybe combine the quantum materials and fundamental science.
I was going, maybe not combining, like merging, but maybe putting them, so there are these two blobs into another category, because both fundamental science and the development of quantum materials, yeah, are enablers.
Quantum material science.
For instance, yes, that's, yes. No, but the reason why I don't want to merge them is that there is some fundamental science which is not really quantum materials, for instance, high energy physics, for instance, entanglement theory, and so on and so forth, right? But those are enablers of a different nature. Maybe also quantum engineering is an enabler. Do we want to have it or not? I don't know. But like these two guys are here on one side of the thing, and these three guys simulation now I made it disappear. They are here somehow. That's another possibility. Yes.
And it might also be important to point out that without quantum materials, there is no application. We need the development of materials.
That's actually not true, but it is true only in quantum computing,
okay.
And partially in quantum sensing, not so much in quantum communication.
Okay,
but still, yes, for some, yes, of course. Yes, that's what I mean. When I say those are enablers, that's exactly what I mean. Without them, you are not able to do.
Just imagine if we had room temperature superconductivity to do a lot of quantum computing, right?
Yes.
So you need the large-scale facilities to do this quantum material research, high energy, everything that we have.
Actually, this is indeed, that's a cool one, because indeed, this is a further justification for our own specificity. Because this is what we do, we have the largest scale thing, we have so much competitive quantum materials, we have the guys, splitting single ions onto some substrate, and that's what we as Helmholtz do, and that's some very important contribution to make all these things possible, which other people cannot do. So for me, this would speak for, I don't know where Klaus is, who was asking this question. This was, he's there. This for me, Klaus would speak for, no, he doesn't listen, for, singling it out and making it explicit. Do you agree?
Say something?
Yes. Say yes.
Yes. I never do.
That's why I'm saying that. So the question was, the fact that we at Helmholtz, we have that quantum materials are necessary to develop those applications. And that we at Helmholtz, we have large-scale facilities which make that possible, is an additional reason, in my opinion, beside the presence and the number of people who work on this, but this is an additional reason strategically, and not just to make us happy, but also strategically, to say this has to be done explicitly. That's how I see it.
That's something I can admit.
Oh my goodness.
He said yes.
You almost said
Please.
I just have a small thing and one question. The small thing is the computing implemented techniques or simulation. Because this again is an active element that we also will work on algorithm development, you know, the compiler stuff you mentioned. I think that's very important.
Well, actually, this is important because it also connects to Crystal and because she has the world record in simulating a quantum computer. That's also infrastructure. Then let's see.
Where British topic belong now? Small-scale devices, all that.
So, small-scale devices belong here. Yes? And here.
Is there not a danger that people think computing that 150 or 100 qubits, somebody works on 2 qubits, 1 qubit, there's no problem?
Well, we will say that if someone is working on 1 or 2 qubits improving the coherence, it will be somehow in between, because this will be still a fundamental science in the sense of fundamental science, not in the sense of asking questions about existence of reality, but about fundamental questions which are oriented to that. And so it's a little bit in between, because of course these things are all connected to each other. But there is one side which is more the applied thing, and the other side which is more the enabler.
Well, actually, we just heard today that with 1 qubit one can do very useful work, right? I think this is the important difference, I think, from traditional computing, as far as I understand, that because the paradigm is so much different, even a small number of qubits can still solve problems which you could hardly do on a big conventional computer. So, I mean, you don't have to wait. I mean, before this becomes useful, we don't have to wait for, I don't know, million qubit devices. Yeah?
You wanted to say something? I
wondered what you mean with computing, really. Is that sort of building a computer, or is that sort of everything on the way to sort of working with quantum computing? But I didn't quite catch, because you sort of made this line from fundamental science to the
those
right-hand
two things, in my opinion, are subsections here. So under this heading, just to say, under this heading, I would imagine both the work about, now Sasha disappeared, the work which Alexia is doing about two-level systems in superconducting qubits, and the work that Henrik is doing with few semiconductor qubits, as well as there will be another chapter about the unique infrastructure and so on and so forth. So that's one big area in which all these different aspects are going.
That directly targets building or using including the basic elements that have a chance of actually being a part of a large system.
Yes. I'm fine with building and using.
Targeting is yes. Oh yes. Yes.
I still want to ask my question. Are we aiming for
I don't think so. Because of room temperature of quantum computing of our thing is like 10 years.
Can you remind me what amount of money are we talking about? And how much money for the people and how much money for equipment?
So this is first So this is a chicken egg problem, first of all. And the first answer to that in terms of infrastructure, in terms of existing investment, will come from how many people within Helmholtz can find themselves in here. Okay? And so we will have an estimate saying those are the activities that we are carrying out, and this is how much currently is invested in there. So many FTEs, so much infrastructure, and so on. Okay? So in that context, the target has to be credibly putting together as much as possible, so to say, but not anything, but things that really are connected to technologies, showing that there is critical mass within hand. Okay? And this is the part about the existing. And the part about the fresh money is going to be either via competitive calls or by other mechanisms. And so we have to see how much we can get of that. Okay? And what we are doing here is creating a basis to see we are strong, we know where we are going to go, and this is why we deserve to get a good share of that. And how it is going to be distributed still has to be discussed.
Mention thoughts on the milestones in the timeline? I mean, a few key ones.
Yes, a few key ones.
I mean, we have now enablers, and we have actually the research we would like to do, right? Like computing.
I would call these applications, if you don't mind.
Yeah, applications.
Can you call it applications?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about a threefold splitting between enablers, the actual sort of core of what we want to achieve, and then also beneficiaries, because this is actually something which we have seen in this talk from Daisy. Because I think many people maybe do not realize that with a quantum computer you can really do completely different things. That it's not just a replacement for the classical computer, but that it allows something completely new. And yeah, you can say this is an application, but maybe one should specifically point out a few areas where this will actually be a complete game changer.
So what you mean is use cases, right?
But
yeah,
this
but
was not the
of
question of your second chapter.
No, but he's talking about that because he says Carl has a use case. Carl does not, of course, has disappeared because whenever there's someone that disappears, but never mind. So he has what Stefan is saying is Carl is not going to develop a quantum computer. He is going to use it to do some very cool thing, which is not possible otherwise in high energy physics. That's what he's saying.
Exactly.
For me, that's a use case. Yeah. In other language, it is actually a use case. So we want to think, and actually, Kristen wants to build her, very much, very often punished and beaten up infrastructure exactly to do this. Right?
Yes. But use case, yes, it is of course a use case, and it's also an application. But I would try to kind of, because it is, because these are things which now for the first time become possible at all. I think they should.
Okay, you want another name, which is what? You want to call it impact,
really,
breakthrough,
value,
amazing?
The grand challenge is just to repeat the vision of the Helmholtz.
Grand challenges?
Okay. It's more like, yeah, I don't know. Something like.
I want to comment on that. So I think be careful in pointing out specific applications because it's not clear what kind of application. What you said earlier about quantum supremacy, nobody knows where the applications are exactly. So we live with careful.
So what you're saying is that there is not so much stuff yet about this in terms of concrete research topics. Carl gave one, but there are not many actually. That we could make an entire column. In logical terms, in terms of categories, yes, you're right. But if we put together a category which is almost empty and only Carl is sitting there, then maybe this looks a little funky. So
also these applications have to come from the outside world. We as a Helmholtz Center should have.
And that's her.
That's you, yes.
It's not me.
I mean, they need not come from the outside world. They can also come from inside.
Both. They come both. So maybe use cases.
These are the kind of market. We're trying to get a market which is not yet established, at least not fully, and we do not know what kind of different potentials we will find and what we will not, because we do not know up to now what kind of technologies will be finally get to, let's say.
Yeah, but this is more comprehensive than market because an application, a use case or a breakthrough or whatever you want to call it in some field of science is not a market. It's more a field of impact, or I don't know. So use cases is, but he doesn't like it. I said it.
Then you call it application, but then we have to
I would say it's unfortunate to highlight the use cases or whatever they're called, but in the common terminology or categories, they are subsumed in the quantum computing or communication field.
That's the point. So this is what we normally do, but what Stefan is saying is, wait a moment, let's highlight that. So we are discussing whether we should be doing that, and actually the fact what Christian is building, is something which has more value in this perspective, and so it would support Stefan's suggestion to make it visible. And what we have learned today from Carl is an additional motivation to say, okay, there are not many, but wait a moment, there may be some interesting ones.
But is it useful to open new buckets?
Sorry?
Is it useful to create new buckets that are different from the conventional buckets?
In terms of communication, it's very useful to create new buckets because they say, oh, they are not just redoing this thing, which character is doing for the 20th time, but there is actually some new idea. It doesn't hurt.
I think we should do something like application library. Collect applications, bring them in the library. We say what is the outcome, what is the technology. Something. I think this is
something that's also enabling that find applications to useful. We have we have algorithms.
Okay, I intended to do the following now. To put this here in the Stefan's column, and this is actually devices.
Yeah.
Or domains, but domains is, because this is really devices, so those are things which you make, which do stuff, which you have done because there is some enablers, and then there are applications. Is it application library? Is it, who is that?
Can I? From my understanding, for quantum computing, I absolutely see that the applications are different from what we foresee now. But don't we, or do we have this in the other two, like communication and sensing as well? Or is this more foreseeable?
No, we do, because for instance, in sensing, like, he shoots his ion into this silicon carbide. Someone comes and they give you a sensor which will read your single neuron in real time. You put it on a helmet, and now you can write a Word file by thinking. That's by the way what Bosch is investigating. So yes, I would say it's nothing only. So up here we write what? Devices, or what was it? Devices is nice, even though I said that. Sorry? Quantum devices. Yeah. Like it would be quantum enablers, quantum devices, quantum applications. But applications is even more boring than use cases. Now we are going to kill it.
I don't have a better suggestion.
Well, it shouldn't prevent you from criticizing. If it is boring, we should find a better.
We call it systems rather than devices.
Oh yes. Systems is cool because it's also in the BNDF thing, right, Marita? Don't worry. He said that let's do quantum systems.
System relevant
I would collapse on the floor
devices,
if anyone could. So quantum systems. He says quantum systems, and this is the same word which they use in the document. Yeah? So in terms of taking things, it's good. And no devices. Yeah. Good. And then we have quantum applications, or better thing, as soon as Stefan will think of it. We can also sleep on it, and tomorrow we will have 20,000 ideas about which are much better than that.
maybe.
No, I'm sure.
We could also work on it like 2 hours more.
Yes.
But I think now you make the decision whether you're tired, you want to have rest, and want to eat something in half an hour, or if you like to stay on track and yeah.
What do you say?
To finish.
Yeah, well, to finish.
So by finishing, she means leaving this room at 10.
Well, you are late now for 1.5 hours on what I planned you to do. But well, it's not.
I don't have a sense that we wasted our time.
No. But
and you are not implying that. You're not implying that.
No. I'm not implying that you did something not good enough or not fast enough, because I think the discussions you had were really good ones, so that everybody is in the end in favor with this paper, and it's his or her paper. So we should leave. You should have the time to do this. So but there is so much more nice things I've prepared.
What would be now the next step?
The next step would be that.
Wait. Before she tells the next step. So the message was there are many next steps. And she says, are you happy with this? Because if you are not happy, you want to talk about this 2 more hours, there are not going to be any more next steps. That was what she was saying.
Not today.
Not tonight, yes.
Yes.
No problem.
Wait, I said someone.
The same thing was also from the talk from Rada when we spoke about spintronics. And you also said that spintronics is nothing like.
I said not all of spintronics just per se is quantum technology.
I do spintronics and magnetics stuff, but I kind of sometimes share this vision that it has nothing to do with quantum. I can be completely classical. But on the other side, I also feel sad that I'm never kind of involved. But
thank you for.
But in some sense, I think what we are doing is actually something like quantum converters. We can actually, what we do, or with this firm, with this magnetism, we can convert, microwave stuff to using magnetism to couple it to optic stuff, photons. So I was wondering if something like quantum converters, like converting between photons and RF, visible photons.
The question is how many. The central question is how many. So any spintronics activity which can lead you to maybe target, maybe in the future, but as a perspective of dealing with individual quantum degrees of freedom, is quantum technology, and any which doesn't is not. Full stop. Which is the reason why I'm saying that not all of spintronics is per se quantum technology, but I'm also saying that it is not, obviously not, that all spintronics is outside of quantum technology. Some of it, yes, some of it.
I was just wondering about how I would fit then in this, because I'm not really a 2D quantum materials guy, and everyone that does fermions, that's also not really 2D materials. It's not really. If I would have to classify the quantum materials, I would be like,
Okay, so maybe this is for sort of more individual discussion, in a sense, because this is something let's discuss it over beer, coffee, cake, whatever. That's very important, of course. And if any other person has a similar concerns, that's very important to discuss them. Perhaps I don't have a sense that this is for collective discussion. So Herr Speyer had a question.
Yeah, I was trying to get together from the talks today who is sort of going where, right? And I had the idea that
that comes afterwards. This is the fun afterwards. Yeah. So let's not go there yet. Let's ask, is this fine in this form? Modulo these very ugly titles that I propose and Stefan doesn't like. Sorry, Stefan, for this.
What about management? Like one path in between, or it's
There's no.
No, I think that that Carl meant that this should be visible around here, right? This is what he meant.
Quantum enablers, quantum.
This is quantum enablers, quantum devices / systems, and this is applications use cases for lack of a satisfying word, which we will find. And here we have computing and simulation together. This is one blob, because Helmholtz is not doing so much simulation per se. We have another blob, communication, another sensing. And here we have quantum materials, fundamental science, and large-scale facilities in terms of enablers. Everybody happy? No.
Not unhappy. I'm just thinking from what I've seen and sensing. This one component is what DLR is doing, which is a little bit, it's not so much the developing sensing as such for its own sake, but taking to adapting for space applications. One person is that perception correct, but the other is whether that should be reflected in some way.
I don't think so, because there is sufficient critical mass there to say that we do have this, and we cannot leave it out. And if we are going to do the fine fraction splitting, but are you really doing this thing or not? And then what Helmholtz presented about shooting their ions, which is then relevant for sensing devices, but it is quantum materials or not. So the blob is there. You happy? Yeah. Okay. Anybody unhappy? That our moderator can also be happy because now she finally can go on.
Well, you have to decide whether you want to go on now.
That's right.
Or I would suggest that maybe tomorrow we will go on with this, and you will then have the opportunity to position yourself and all the working groups in your center-wise in this field. We will provide you with charts so that we will have then a view graph in the end from where the centers are positioning themselves. This is some kind of picture which BMBF will be, I think, happy to have. And we will see how we will compose this so that you will be able to put your dot in the right section. Because if I am Christian Michielsen, maybe I would put my dot in here, right?
Yeah, I have to.
If you have to.
No, can I have to though?
You could have also, no, you have one dot at the moment. You have one dot. So where would you like to put it? Like here? Yeah. This is what I want to say.
So you will put it in between.
You will put it in between.
Or I have to.
Sorry?
Or I have to.
No. You will have. At the moment, you're just having one dot, just to have to make my point. What you're doing tomorrow. Oop. Yeah, you will have no dot.
You will have no dot. Sorry.
Sorry, no picture for you. If I was.
Why only one?
Say it again.
Why only one?
Just to make a point.
To get metrics.
Yes. In the end, we want to have a metric.
I mean, IN in between.
So where would you like to have yours?
Sensing communication into the computer.
Yeah. So why don't you put it like here and then connect it like this? That's possible.
There's one dot that connects the next.
So, but you had tomorrow would have another color, so that tomorrow, and I will explain it again tomorrow. So just relax. Tomorrow you will have maybe a red dot, and all the people from your center will have a red dot, and all the people from Forschungszentrum will have the green dot, and so on. So in the end, by the dots and how you position them, you can make a few graphs to visualize where you are working on, in which field, where is your Schwerpunkt. Yeah.
The problem is a little bit that we represent people from our center, and when I represent Karlsruhe, there are many people. So I need 50 dots, and then I need to ask them where I should put their dots, and so how this should look like in the end.
You should be able, on working group level, to put dots.
So one PI, one dot.
But the PIs were not here, they are present.
Yes.
That means for each PI I can mention that I can write the name.
Yes.
That's the important.
Yeah, you need not to write a name. It's just, and in the end, we will then, from the few graphs we will get, when we compose it all together, you will have, first of all, the opportunity to discuss it between your center. Maybe make calls for telephone joker, where to put the others. Yeah, you will have time for this. And then we put it together in one big picture and see whether you have to adjust a bit in discussion with the others, in the context of the others, and then we'll have, hopefully, a nice view graph, but not only view graph, but also to get the real feeling where you are positioning yourself, not only now, but also in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah? And from this on, we can, you are getting to see who is responsible for the topic you have to work on your paper. Who has the main knowledge and know-how to fill this topic.
Does this concern interest, or does this concern you're really working on?
You're working on, and your 5 to 10 years vision.
It's an integrated value over the next 5-10 years.
That's what you could do now. I'm free. Well, you could also do it tomorrow morning.
But there is nobody, I think, from PGA 1 and from PGA 9.
So that's the same question.
So our wonderful GD will do that. For PGA 1.
Please also, if you feel like it, use your telephone jokers.
Easier tomorrow than.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
That's a mind way of putting it.
So, one sentence here. One field has 10 points, whilst another is 1.
No problem. That's how it is.
And then we may say, okay, if there is a field with only 1, do we have a reason to have it anyway? Or do we not? What is the weight of this? So we have so it's not a voting thing. It's more like identifying, where, how much goes, where are the weights in it. But it's not the weight of something. It's not just the number of PIs which are there. There are other considerations.
Also, with the different colors, we want to see where do the different centers have their main parts. Where should they interact with other centers, and do they interact or don't they at the moment? Because I'm afraid that there's a lot of connections we can make we don't have in it.
That's the reason why we're doing this.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
And it is a visual way a visual tool to do that quickly and get more inspiration for that.
Yeah. So I suggest we go to our hotel and, well, you may sleep. I will have some food, maybe. We will have food prepared for 7:30. We could also get a bit later, that's no problem. So if you want to check in first, you can check in first. Otherwise, you can also check in later, after your dinner. And tomorrow we start with this.
Where is the across the street, Sheraton Hotel.
be there? Food or
Yes, food is also on Sheraton Hotel. And you can decide whether you want to start 8:30 as was planned tomorrow, or would you like to start earlier? 7, 8, whatever.
8:30 is great.
Well, it is true that since we are here,
It's your time.
And I mean, you made a big effort to come. It might be worthwhile to start a little earlier to get, but without destroying anybody. Someone is saying 8.
Well, be aware you won't get home earlier because I think there will be more discussion.
Ah, okay.
So you can start at 8, but
Yeah, me too. Right. But if you're looking at traffic, 9 would be the best alternative.
So having a look also in your who's still there and who's not, maybe 8:30 would be okay, so nobody will lose anything. I facilitate you whenever.
Okay, so let's do 8:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Very good.
Then, thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you for dinner.
Oh, for dinner, yes.